Hey, we're live. Welcome everybody to Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk, episode 21.
All
As
right.
usual, as I'll do the usual intro. As I always say, as usual, I'm William Kale from Coinigy.com, and I moved my camera up there, so I'm not actually looking in the camera, and it's a little awkward, but everyone's just gonna have to put up with that, I guess.
Hello down there.
Hey, up there, how are you? And if you haven't seen the show before, you'll know, or if you have seen the show before, you'll know that's Rob Borden, also from Coinigy. And then, as usual, we have Brian Beamish, the rational investor,
Hello,
who
everyone.
who is just going nuts over these crazy alt markets today.
Wow, man, we've been. I booked a 600% gainer today. I was like, woohoo!
Wow. And then the man who needs no introduction, Alex Stirk.
Well, I get one anyways, though.
From Block Talk, and what else do you have going on, Alex? Are you still
Um,
kind of primarily Block Talk, or?
yeah, like I do Block Talk. I'm in Vancouver right now. I'm kind of helping run a meetup space. So if there's any Vancouverites out there who want to talk some Bitcoin, look up Decentral Vancouver and come check us out. We're a really cool incubator type place. Tomorrow we're actually having a meetup for Ethereum with a bunch of local developers, and yeah, I'm probably going to do a live stream of that. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you gonna stream that? That'll be awesome. I'll check
that's
it
the
out.
plan. Yeah, I figure anyone who's at home will still want to check it out and figure out what's driving this crazy price action.
Yeah, and
Ethereum's so hot right now.
that's why I'm so excited about tonight's show, because I am curious to hear what Brian thinks is driving this. Well, and Alex as well, but you kind of just said you don't know yet. So, um, yeah, I guess we can move on to the show. Sorry, I'm just getting ahead of myself here. Rob, I mean, what do we have in terms of Coinigy updates and that kind of stuff going on?
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot just like that?
Yeah, we didn't really pre-plan anything, so I might as well put you on the
I
spot.
don't know. I guess we're just working on some of the things that we talked about last week. I know we mentioned that we were going to be launching some real-time blockchain data into our API, and that is in fact live now. And you may notice on the site you'll start getting push notifications whenever a new block is discovered on a coin that you're currently viewing within that market. So, like if you're on BTC USD market and a new Bitcoin block is mined, then you'll get a pop-up notification. And you can, of course, disable that through the notification settings if you'd like, but we're just doing that as much to kind of test the underlying infrastructure as much as anything. So you'll definitely start seeing more blockchain data options creep into the Coinigy interface and the charting options and things like that in the coming weeks.
Yeah, did we demo that last time? I don't remember if we did or not.
I think 2 weeks ago we were basically just about to go live with it, or we did maybe even right before the show, but we didn't really demo it.
Gotcha. Well, I don't know. Do we want to take some time and demo it?
Well, I don't know if there's a whole lot to demo, I guess, but
Yeah, I mean, it's really just notifications right now, but
So is that for every chain, or is it just a couple of the big players?
we have 110 chains basically, and they're part. We have yet to publish that list anywhere or make it available somehow, but like on our
well, you could
WebSocket.
query the API and find that list, but
Yeah, well, it's not even in the channel list yet for the
oh, okay.
WebSocket API, but it will be soon. So you'll be able to, when you request the channel list for the real-time API, it'll list the blockchain channels essentially. So you just subscribe to one of the blockchain channels either for transactions or blocks or both. And then you'll get that push data through the WebSocket API for any of those chains we have.
Well,
Yeah,
that
and
would be
then
super helpful for like deposits and withdrawals. So like anyone who's kind of itching for something to come through on an exchange and get
mhm.
confirmed, that's a really good feature.
Yeah, and we'll probably be able to add some things to our alerting system, so you could set like an alert on a certain transaction ID, like when it gets a certain number of confirmations or something like that, you could get a push notification and an email or SMS, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wanted to add too, we're going to be adding kind of historical charts, blockchain data charts to Coinigy. So I think the way we're going to do it is, any of you out there who are Coinigy users, you're familiar with, we have the data, trade, alerts, economy tabs. I think we're going to have another tab across the top there that's called blockchain, and we're just going to have a whole slew of cool metrics there, and then ideally what we're going to do is give you a button to then send that chart over to the big chart, so you'll actually be able to like overlay difficulty charts directly over the price charts, or see cross correlations between transaction volume and price and all that kind of stuff. So that's something to look forward to. Should be coming very soon. So yeah. Yeah, that's about it for us. We can cut it off there. We have a whole heck of a lot of other stuff going on behind the scenes, but people aren't tuning in to hear about Coinigy. They're looking for TRI analysis.
They are. All right. I was more than happy just to sit and listen to you guys chit chat away. That was awesome.
Well, you don't want us to bore you to death.
Actually, you know what? I wouldn't mind. Why don't we start before I look at the charts and give you my 2 cents? I wouldn't mind hearing Alex's impression of what's going on in crypto these days and why the altcoin market is popping. We got our special guest here, so I want to hear. What I like about you is you're right in the trenches, right? You guys at Decentral, you got like mining gear all over the place and stuff, right? I mean, you guys are in the trenches, so I mean, I want to hear from sort of the horse's mouth, like what's going on here.
Well, I think it all kind of kicked off with that really big drop that we saw in Bitcoin, and anyone who, I guess, was shorting at that time probably got some decent profits. I know I did. And that first initial dip, kind of same thing happened last January, and it just kind of, along with seasonality, it really just starts lifting alts up. And we saw it first with kind of Ethereum, and now today we got kicked off with Doge and a bunch of other ones. So. Yeah, I think it's just kind of the money kind of flowing back in. Like we saw before Christmas. I know I listened to the show and you talked a lot about seasonality, like money coming out of the market, people wanting to do their taxes and putting I guess the prices a little lower so they almost can like report a loss. But yeah, now we kind of are on the other end of that spectrum. It's all kind of washing back in, and who knows? We might see a little more doom for Bitcoin if the alts keep doing this well. Maybe it's a lot of people starting to hedge bets on a lower price.
So, what's your sort of take on the Chinese shenanigans going on right now?
Well, yeah, watching my Twitter feed, I've seen a couple guys in particular looking at Chinese exchanges about all these pairs that have been basically coming up. So it's definitely a lot of Chinese money coming in. Maybe it's to do with their stock market going down, but I don't think any serious investors in China are looking to invest in Doge as a hedge.
Right. Well, you never know.
I do find it interesting.
Seriously though, because they've been mainly BTC and a little bit of LTC, so maybe now that China has maybe they're starting to actually discover altcoins, so maybe the first few are really going to be like a gold rush for them, and maybe that's what's going on here. I don't know. What were you going to say, Rob? Sorry for cutting off.
I was just saying, when you look at some of the 24-hour charts, you've got all these coins that are up 100% or more in the last couple days. You've got Ripple, Doge, Factom, VPN Coin, PeerCoin, BitShares. All these are way, way up. But for whatever reason, Litecoin is not at all, which I find kind of interesting.
I do too.
Whatever this push is, it's not pushing anything into Litecoin, which is already traded heavily in the Chinese market. So
I wouldn't be surprised though, but they took Litecoin through the washing machine though, through its halving event, right? So
Yeah.
and
that's
sort
true
of
too. Yep.
the end result of that was that whole Ponzi story about the Chinese guy who over leveraged it. Do you remember that? So I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if, in a weird sort of way, in the markets, it's easier to run a name that the market really hasn't sort of seen before, or maybe hasn't heard of in a while.
Right.
Whereas I'm sure, people went, oh, hey, let's run that Litecoin, and the sort of knee-jerk reaction was, oh, we did that one last year. Let's pick something nobody else is in right
Yeah.
now, kind of thing,
Right.
I can understand why Litecoin might have been left behind, but no doubt
If it is a
about it.
lot of Chinese funding that's going into it, that could also be an indicator of why LTC is not really getting hit at all, just because it's not the new hotness at all over there, and nobody's, that's not an exploratory coin if that's what's going on. Because there isn't even a hiccup in the price of Litecoin, which is more or less bottomed out once again at the moment. So.
I remember about 6 months ago, we had like a little window where a lot of the older coins that have been around for quite a while, they all just sort of caught a bid for a while. Do you guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to, I'm kind of thinking Litecoin in that sort of older coin basket. I'm kind of thinking, I wonder how all of those, because there's that. I was chatting with somebody today about those like URO, that urine coin, right? It hasn't moved an inch, right? That was an old funny one. Alex seems to like that one.
Yeah, there's always a funny story to that one. There's a funny video going around of the dev for that one, basically trying to answer questions, and he gets a little upset. But,
really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you got to share that link. I got to watch that one.
I'll see if I can find it for you. But yeah, mentioning some of these older coins, like you look at something like Namecoin, the original altcoin, the very first clone of Bitcoin, it actually went down today.
Yeah.
And Litecoin too, it's kind of more of a parallel. There's not a whole lot that's really different about it. And I've always kind of said this, I'm like, what does really Litecoin have going for it? It has volume.
Transaction. That's about it.
It's good for arbitrage.
Yeah, right. It's really just a hedge. I mean, that's in the trading world.
So I wonder if there's like an altcoin FANG list. In the stock market, the FANG stocks are really popular right now. It's I don't know if you guys have ever heard that term. It's
that's new to me.
Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. Right, and so those were the market leaders before the market fell apart, and so all the CNBC people, they started using the term FANG stocks. So I wonder if there's sort of like a hot list that they're running right now, and I kind of noticed that too in altcoin land, where I remember for a while all the coins that seemed to start with one letter, they actually all seemed to be moving in unison. It was very odd. There was like a little window there where all the coins that began with X, they all were running, right? XMR and XRP and all that.
Well, it just depends what letter the trading bots are on at any
given time. It might, the irony of it all is it might just be something as simple as that. That's the irony of all of this, right? And also, too, I think, like a name like Doge, I think just a lot of people lost interest.
Right. Yeah, I mean, after, I was all about it when I first saw it on Reddit and Doge Tip, and everybody was going crazy, and they had the NASCAR sponsorship, but, after all that stuff kind of wears off, you kind of go, well, okay, nobody's really using this stuff anymore. And for all I know, maybe people really still are. But it's definitely, I don't see it all over the place like I used to. So
when I look at their subreddits, I see a lot of usage actually in like high school computer science programs. So it's definitely something that like is, let's program with this because if you lose 1,000 Doge, it's not really that big a deal.
Right.
They're effectively worthless, but at the same time, it's still a strong network. And even now with this whole Ethereum news, Vitalik has kind of always expressed support. The dev behind Ethereum. He always has had support for Doge. It's a twinkle in his eye, I guess, and he wrote kind of a two-way peg for Dogecoin, so you can actually convert Doge into Doge on the Ethereum blockchain. Because
that's cool.
Yeah, Ethereum lets you hold other or can create assets on it. So he basically made it so you can put Doge into Ethereum and take it out with this code. And
Well, we've seen Ethereum do rather well lately, so there might be some weight to that. If you it's kind of funny how we used to talk about the Chinese currency and how a lot of people were like, oh, the Chinese currency is going to take over the U.S. currency, and people forgot that the Chinese currency technically is pegged to the U.S. dollar.
Mhm.
And really, the Chinese authorities just simply wanted to trade in a band pegged to the U.S. dollar. So if a coin that maybe is kind of on the outs and nobody's interested, but then we find out that there is actually a link to a coin that is interesting. I've heard lots of talk about Microsoft and Ethereum and stuff. So in a weird sort of way, I can understand why they might run Doge up. I mean, technically, do you know what the peg is? Is it like 100 Doge for one Ethereum or something like that?
no, it's like 1-to-1, and geez, I might
1 to
actually
1.
Yeah, so like one Ethereum Doge is one.
Yeah, you're not
regular
actually
Doge.
exchanging for ETH. You're exchanging it for like a colored coin almost of ETH, right?
Yep, correct. And yeah, I might actually be misquoting the story. I think Vitalik kind of outlined exactly how to do it, but like right now it has a bounty on it in the form of a smart contract. I think it's up to like 15 grand
Oh wow.
American. So this is maybe where a lot of the excitement is. There's like development money going towards Doge for like a reward.
Oh, well, there you go, eh? Yeah. And the weird thing about markets, and actually I got the Doge chart right on here, so I'll just fire it on here. This is so normal of markets, right? I mean, you see how big the window is, the actual rally window back here. I mean, the rally from the very bottom right to the top was, in this particular instance, about the end of August, and the ultimate peak was the middle to the end of September. So, I mean, basically less than a month. And then it spends, right? How long is this? This is September right through to May of the following year. So basically about 8 or 9 months just breaking hearts, right? And then the rally, right, is just quick as a bug, right? Maybe a month. In fact, actually, we didn't go to new highs, did we? This rally lasted maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. And then it spends another 5 months breaking
Yep.
people's hearts, right? So can you actually see there's actually a relatively regular behavioral pattern to this, eh? And what'll happen, I mean, my hunch is the rally window will probably last about a month or so. So you can see we're actually getting a bit old here on this rally if you use this low. We're starting to get into that sort of, half month window. Everybody get all excited about Doge, and then we'll spend the next 5 or 6 months breaking everybody's hearts, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's the way the market works, sadly. So, great lesson that if you're not on the ball, if you don't have your open orders working, if you don't have your levels working, this bus goes zoom right by you. And if you're not at the bus stop, it's not going to stop. So if you are trading these coins, this is an excellent testament to the simple fact that, hey, you got to be on the ball. You got to have your open orders working. You've got to basically have all your levels. Like I'll show you my little Bitterx account here if I can. Let's see if I can do that. We'll pop on over here, and then we'll go here. And you guys can see, I have set, can you see my screen, the little Bitterx account here? I don't know whether
Now
I
I
have it on
can. Yep.
screen. Yeah. I mean, I got 7 pages of open orders here. 7 pages. And it's exactly this kind of scenario, that if I actually sat and just sort of lollygagged and sort of hummed and hawed and didn't have all my levels working, I'm probably going to miss half the trades that I want to do. So great lesson for everybody out here with this Doge. I used to have a buddy of mine, we used to say, he used to always say, you got to make hay while the sun's shining. Because if you don't, it's here in Vancouver, I mean, it's even on a nice warm sunny summer day, it's raining here, right? This crazy Vancouver weather. So it's just an excellent testament that if I don't know, have you guys ever tried to make hay when it's raining? It's impossible, right? You can only make hay when it's sun shining. Same thing in the market, right? The wind. Oh, look at this. 107. My order's at 109. I just so everybody. Oh, actually, we're not showing the screen here. Sorry. Again. I've got an open order to sell half on a double on this Doge right here at 109. So the machine might all go crazy here during the show. That'd be cool. I want to see the machine just blow up here.
I like that you're referring to it as the machine. We should rename Coinigy the machine.
The machine, that's right. Well, and one of my trading models that I used to use when I was a prop trader, I used to say, when I turn myself into a robot, I trade like a machine. Anyway. All right, I don't know whether I interjected there, whether that was helpful, but great little anecdote for our viewers. You got to make hay when the sun's shining. Sun's shining right now on Doge, so go and make that hay. Don't let it slip through your fingers, or you might be spending 5 months waiting for your levels again.
And I'll also mention this is actually trades on leverage, so if there's a good opportunity to short at some point, remember that.
Actually, and that's
Doge is now on Poloniex, I assume?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you could short Doge. Very interesting.
That's something that I was also thinking about too, and actually I was chatting with some of my boys. Do you guys notice that Polo 107? Come on, give me a fill. Sorry, a little bit distracted.
Marco.
Polo has margin, right? And I believe that there were a lot of very rich kids made recently on some of these altcoin moves. They are feeling pretty rich right now, which means that the market has fuel. You guys see how, in essence, like, what's really fascinating about gambling, I don't know whether you ever guys watched that Wolf of Wall Street movie, but, perfect analogy, and it's exactly the same. Where the big boss says, you don't, just because the client goes and makes money, you don't let them actually cash out. You take the profits and you buy something else, right? I don't know whether you guys remember that from the movie. And that's how the stock market works. A guy who opens up an account with 10 G's and buys a stock and it's a winner and he makes 20, 30 grand.
Yep, it's all about compounding the assets. They're not just gonna.
Exactly. He never takes that money out and goes and buys himself something. He always takes that money and parks it into something else. So in essence, now the altcoin market actually has some fuel. It actually has fuel to further these rallies. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's a really good perspective. I didn't think of it that way.
I see we have another guest. Derek.
Oh,
has
hey, what's up,
decided to
Derek?
join us.
Derek, you're on mute, man. Oh, maybe I pasted the link in our Slack, so maybe he accidentally clicked it. I don't know.
Okay.
You're more than welcome to join us, Derek.
Somebody said hello, so I thought I'd say hi back.
Oh, he did say hello? I didn't
no, I don't think he did.
He doesn't have a mic.
Oh. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
He's just hanging
doing the equivalent of slowly sneaking away.
I know, and it's funny. My boys in my chat room are teasing me now. I think these guys they're not gonna let me get a fill here because they know my order's at 109. They're all just gonna jump on it anytime it gets close there. But anyway, lots of fun. Okay, do we want to jump in? I don't know. Was Derek an expected guest here tonight? Did he want to add to the conversation at all? Alex, do you have anything else on your mind?
Oh, on Doge, you mean?
On anything. Hey, I want to ask you, Slick. Now that I got you here, what's the story with Tron these days?
What? Oh, okay. If you guys aren't following Crypto Elliot on Twitter, he's probably the best guy for seeing like leaks and like basically news that on any dev in the crypto space to basically shut down their projects because he leaked some conversations with Crypto West, the developer of Tron and Coinigy, and I think there's a couple other ones. And he basically flat out admitted he puts hidden pre-mines in every one of his coins. So he doesn't take any one of his projects seriously. So after they've done their run their course, they've pumped and then dumped. He's pretty much dropped all support for them. So be on the lookout in the future for anything from Crypto West and avoid.
Has nobody vetted these coins? I mean, has nobody actually checked the source or what? Or is it just so hard to discern?
Well, when Tron first came out, it had a lot of big players kind of.
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of hype about it.
Yeah, I remember you were really excited about it. That's why I asked. I mean, I don't want to, I mean, in fact, I went and picked up a bit just on your enthusiasm.
Yeah, this was back first Block Talk last April, and yeah, that's when kind of the alts are back hashtag went around the first time, and yeah, people were taking advantage of the situation. So right now, if you see new coins popping up, like there maybe is a high risk, but and a high reward, but that high risk is always could be a zero figure in one day. So like these coins get delisted after a while, and yeah, like Tron is so surprising because a lot of people were supporting it. Like even Shapeshift added it to their platform, which doesn't usually happen for everything.
So, I mean, other than just being a jerk, like, what do you think the motivation of this guy? Because he's kind of shot himself in the foot in the industry, right? If anybody sees any work, they're going to be like, well, I'm not going to trust you.
Yeah, like that kind of happened, I guess, even after his first kind of projects like Coinigy and whatnot. But yeah, this is something that happened to another developer too. I don't think I need to mention it. Most of the guys who know me know the project, but yeah, it's definitely like it puts a black mark or a red flag on their moniker. So yeah, that's why you see some coin devs are anonymous. Like they go by the handle Crypto West. I don't know his full name personally, but I'm sure it might be floating around. But yeah, he's gonna have a hell of a time actually getting a legit job one day. And well, and some of these coins are just portfolios, the same way like a graphic designer has a couple projects to show off. A computer science major wants to have a cryptocurrency under his belt. Maybe he doesn't want to put his real name on it, but he still wants like, hey, look how great of this monetary system I created. I could easily do this for your company if you really want.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I can see that as a motivation, definitely, especially now that, Wall Street and everybody's so excited over the blockchain. I mean, I did read an article recently basically saying that blockchain developers are going to be in high demand, so...
I can imagine. They'll probably get quite a premium to them, eh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You would think, yeah. You could assume that.
So that was also during the heyday of... there's one exchange that will remain nameless that will list basically any coin, and then there's another exchange that's more reputable that as soon as they list that coin, the price goes way up. And all through like that first half of 2015, that was happening a lot with a lot of these coins where there'd be a pre-mine and then they'd get dumped on this one exchange and people would start buying it in anticipation of it going way up on the other exchange. And, then the guy's able to unload his whole pre-mine and you'd be surprised at how much
that never actually happened. It never actually got put on exchange number 2 is the point, right? So it was just to pump the price.
Well, a lot of them did for a while. It was happening.
Oh, okay.
And they were going way up when they got on, but then, that exchange started doing a little bit more background checking on the coins they were listing, and that kind of dried up.
You'll see that on Bittrex now, too. They actually have verified markets, so they are actually taking in details like passports and whatnot on developers now.
Oh, that's great to hear, honestly.
Yeah, so check out Bittrex. They have their verified markets tab, and they're improving their platform there because eventually they're going to move to fiat, and only the best are going to get fiat pairs.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if that's a data point we can pull into Coinigy somewhere, maybe show that. I mean, that's something that we're definitely behind, vetting the coin devs. It's kind of against some of the tenets of crypto, anonymity and free trade and all that stuff, I guess. But for the space to grow, we really need something legitimate that's going to attract outside people into the markets. So And I can honestly say, I mean, even the last couple weeks, I mean, we've seen just an influx of new users on Coinigy. A lot of people from kind of traditional finance and day traders. So the word's getting out there, you know, and it's not even necessarily us putting out. So it's
Yeah.
it's starting to pick up a little bit. I think,
And
you know, maybe a
ultimately,
year from now, it's going to be double this or even more in terms of volume and.
I
Well, the
thought it
market.
was. Sorry.
The market cap of altcoins, I think, shot up to almost 800 million this week. So there's definitely a lot flowing in just in like the alternative markets now.
Yeah, and I mean, if
Oh,
that's
just
going
'cause
to
you said-
remain stable, then we need the coins to be reputable and for them to not be able to have backdoors in them and things like that. So
Right, right.
I do think ultimately it's a necessity, what Bittrex is doing, and I think we should even possibly try to go far enough to get a lot of the more reputable companies in the cryptocurrency space to get together and maybe certify some of those things like coins and exchanges like that by some sort of larger group that's respected within the industry.
Yeah, maybe we can start with naming conventions. That would make our life so much easier.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean that's. Yeah.
It's not like one random
Just
exchange picks what your ticker symbol is going to be or something like that. When like the company doesn't pick themselves what their ticker symbol is going to be without any input from the New York Stock Exchange or something like that.
That's something I'm seeing right now, actually, with a project from actually a decent-sized company that's launching soon, Decred, and I guess the ticker symbol they've chosen is already taken. So there might be a little bit of a fight over it.
Yeah, and a couple of huge headaches for William.
Time to rework our whole database, guys.
Yeah.
So
anyone know how to update 1.3 billion rows of data?
Yeah. Hey, Brian, you can go ahead. I can see you've been trying to chime in there.
Well, I
wait.
Oh, the tables have turned, Brian.
Yes.
That's fine. I don't mind. And really, maybe this is karma suggesting I shouldn't ask, but I have to because we have Alex here. So, what is the scuttlebutt du jour, or the sort of the community's take on Cryptsy now? Is it gone?
Yeah, like it's kind of been written on the wall for almost a year now. Like I forget what the first thing that set me off. I kind of did a bunch of withdrawals, and I only left about $10 on it. But yeah, if you get hacked and you're a financial holding company, you have to report that within 24 hours. You can't sweep it under the rug and say, "Oh, we'll make it back in the long run." Like it just doesn't work like that. Like you break the law if you don't report that. So I have a hard time believing it. And yeah, all the information that's come out on Vern, it's pretty hard to believe. And then he tweets out like, "Oh yeah, we have 30 wallets that are up and online. We're doing withdrawals again." I'm like, I haven't seen any new wallets working. Like the one coin I want to withdraw still isn't going. So I think he's just blowing hot air now. Like this is the same as like Paycoin was. Like the scam will continue long after like the final word has been said.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always a lot more to the story. Look at Carpellis and all that stuff. So.
Well, that's still ongoing too. Like.
I mean, it just never ends. We're never going to hear that under Cryptsy.
Well, at Cryptsy, they were the big Paycoin exchange, right? In the beginning, like they were one of the main exchanges
or something.
Yeah. And then I'm pretty sure
I don't mean to bring up a sore subject, but I would like to put myself in the shoes of like viewers who are like, whatever happened to that Cryptsy place? I just like to keep tabs on it.
I guess in terms of if anybody that's watching isn't up to date, I mean the last that I heard is, as Alex said, they put some wallets online for withdrawals, which I don't know if that's been confirmed to actually be happening. And then they're apparently trying to find outside investment help, basically, to either purchase them and kind of take it over, or just to like help liquidate funds, you know, and turn it into something else. So I don't know. I haven't heard any updates. Have you heard any updates like since that came out, Alex?
No, yeah, I'm just looking. On January 19th, 50 wallets have been open for withdrawals, more opening over the next few days, and then on the 21st, he said 30 more wallets have been open for withdrawal, or reopened for withdrawals more in the coming days. Check balance for available wallets. Yeah, like
they said more wallets open on the 25th also, but yeah, who knows?
Okay, now on to next question I have. You know, we've been talking a bit about Polo and them margin trading, and now we've got, you know, a bunch of people that have made some money on these pumps, and because of margin trading, it's quite, you know, exaggerated, or not exaggerated, but quite large profits, relatively speaking. And I saw something really interesting the other day which caught my eye, and I don't know whether you guys are following I think it's BLK or Blackcoin, I think that's it. And we noticed something in our room, and you know, now that we got the Coinigy boys here and we got Alex, I wouldn't mind just, you know, picking your brain. I think it was Blackcoin, but it might have been a different one, where we actually got a breakout on Polo on volume, but we didn't get it on Bittrex. It was really interesting. And the boys were saying that it kind of looked to them like Bittrex was losing sort of the leading exchange status in altcoins to Polo.
Yeah, I saw somebody was tweeting about, I think, a different coin like yesterday, Brian, or
yeah, it might have been. I've seen this happen a couple of times.
You know, Poloniex now, because of the margin trading, is now leading. But it might have been on ETH, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Any thoughts, Alex? Have you seen that in
the margin being the biggest thing? Like that brings so much volume, and like sheep flock to volume like crazy. So, but like I have pretty close ties talking to Bill and Richie from Bittrex, and essentially what they said is like it's possibly not legal what they're doing,
right?
Because it's you're not allowed to do any sort of futures or margin products with a commodity without being registered and having investment. So they're essentially just allowing users to loan to each other in order to facilitate this margin market, but the CFTC or the SEC could step in any day and basically turn them off. So I'm still, like, I've dabbled a little bit with the margin on Polo. I think it's kind of cool, and it's nice to, I guess, have a bit more options with Polo. But yeah, I'd like to see a more official capacity of margin trading gets underway at Bittrex, and that will kind of allow for more volume to come back to them, because I think they definitely deserve it. They have the security and the functionality that I'm looking for, and yeah, I like to say they're one of the best like online wallets out there, because their withdrawals are super ridiculously fast. Like, I'm spoiled now whenever I go to another exchange and my withdrawals are like, oh, still waiting like 20 minutes here.
Yeah, that's super annoying. And then in Crypsy's terms, you're waiting weeks.
Yeah, or
so given the current market state, right? We're in a state of the market, you know, these alts rallying here. Alts are back, woohoo, right? And given the current condition of the market, the sort of tone that I'm hearing is that Polo is leading right now.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty fair assumption to make.
Okay.
A lot of the big coins are being traded there. You still can look at the one Chinese exchange, BTCE, for a bunch of the alts, and that's kind
BTCE is Russian. I know there's or I think they're Russian, either Russian or Ukrainian.
Yeah.
BTCE?
Mm-hmm.
They're out of like Slovenia or something.
Yeah,
like that.
somewhere.
I know an interesting thing.
I don't think anyone really knows for sure, legit for sure.
Well, no, I just saw an article that came out. It didn't identify exactly where they are, but apparently, like some director of finance or czar of finance, for all I know, in Russia, basically banned them from accepting Russian users. So they are no longer.
Actually, and that reminds me,
New
because
ruling or something.
I've been knocking the cover off the ball on this one crazy little alt lately. I think it's a VPN. I think it is. It's just ridiculous how it's just gone straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And they started to run on that Russian official announcement about banning the coins. I remember that happened just the other day. And I think the tweet that I put out was, it's kind of like whack-a-mole. You hit one, but then another one pops up somewhere else, right? I kind of think crypto is now unstoppable, right? A government's going to beat up on one, and another one's going to pop up somewhere else.
Mhm.
And they're going to beat up on another one, and another one's going to pop up somewhere else, right? I don't think you can stop this thing now.
Yeah,
World
I tend to
governments. They're going to try, but I don't think they will. But anyway, sorry, that's my personal commentary.
Well, and then a lot of American traders have to use VPNs now too for like Altcoin, and I think there's one other exchange that will actually block.
Yeah, they've been locking it down. Yep.
Because essentially any product that's online now is a product that someone in New York can use, and then you're subjugated to bit license. So
yeah, that's and those VPNs because I know in Canada, yeah, it's total aside. There's like, we literally can't watch certain stuff on YouTube, and you can't watch certain stuff on Netflix. It's so frustrating.
I guess they're cracking down on that too now.
Yeah, well, and I know that you made reference to that VPN. And the popularity of these VPNs has really exploded because of that kind of stuff. It's interesting now we can actually also put a crypto spin on that as well, eh? I hadn't thought about that before. So yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of our American audience would like to trade on OKCoin. Why, I don't know, but anyway, they would, but they simply can't, right? It's against the law for them. So.
But they do.
Shall we get to some TA? I don't know. How are we doing on time?
I think we should.
Yeah, we should. I just have
now or never.
I have one quick thing to say, because I promised them I would say it. So if you guys, we just added 1x.trade to the Coinigy platform, so they're a new exchange. It's created by the Wild Bees Bitcoin dev. His name's Peter. Seems like a nice guy. Had a little bit of interaction with him, so if you guys haven't, definitely go check that out.
Yep,
and I can't say
on our
too much.
Chat too. So
right.
If you wanted to ask him any questions or anything like that, I'm sure he'd be around at some point. And
right, and I can't vouch, for security or any aspects, but really nice guy. So, yep, that's about it.
Okay.
Let's dive in.
I didn't really do a lot of forework, and if anything, I thought maybe this week, why don't we just, do it on the fly, so you can just sort of hear, see how I would just, research coins if somebody had just come in and said, hey, Brian, take a look at this. So, why don't you just fire a name at me if you guys want to do a short little fundamental spiel. If Alex, you want to throw in, oh yeah, I know what's going on with this developer, like that. And then I'll just dude up the chart, and we'll just bang these out. How does that sound?
That's an awesome idea. Why don't we also, if the audience is watching, why don't you guys tweet at, should we tweet at Sierra Investor or at Coinigy or at both? Or something, if they just want to shoot them out.
Oh, I thought we had. I thought you sent me a list earlier this morning, and I did see quite a few people ask. So I thought you guys.
Yeah.
Had
I thought we weren't going to necessarily go through that list. I didn't.
Well, it's not fair. Those people, they're good people. We might as well not please them.
Gotcha. Hey, new block discovered on Brian's screen.
Hey now.
Yeah, actually, and I see that. And actually, this
Brian,
is.
Brian, you are tapped into the pulse, man. Black coin block right there.
Well, sometimes I pull up these things, and the whole damn screen is filled with these green boxes.
Yeah, we have to get some limiting in place. There's certain altcoins that just fire out.
They spew blocks, basically.
Yeah.
Especially it's the POS ones that I see this a lot. I don't understand how that POS sort of block discovery process works, but I do see most of the POS ones, they're the ones that spit up. I'll see like 5 or 6 notices all pop up at once, and whoop, there comes another one, right?
There you go.
So,
prove your point right there.
Yeah, you can disable those, by the way.
Maybe that we'll have to stop pushing proof of stake coins, basically. We'll see.
Well, or maybe just give the user the option, right? Or whether
Well,
they
you
want
can
to.
disable it. It's just not granular by like which coins you want to see at the moment. It's just all or nothing.
Okay.
It's under
And
the settings
they
menu.
only stay up for 20 seconds.
No, that's
Which we
cool.
had a long debate on how long we wanted them to stay up. And
We
I
had
won.
too long
It's
of a
probably
debate.
way too long.
Well, what's really cool
No, the
is
debate was too long.
Oh,
yeah. All right. Okay, so who's first on the block?
Well, what's the list that we had from earlier today?
A couple more. Let's
Somebody
see.
just tweeted at us about MaidSafe.
All right.
Maid? Actually, I heard. I was reading on the on Twitter and stuff like that earlier. People were talking about Maid. Okay, the list that we had that Will sent me earlier was, and if you guys want to write this down, doesn't really matter. I suppose I can.
Okay, well, we had the list I sent you earlier was like just the very first few that we got, and they're all coins we've reviewed before. So we have Archcoin, Maxcoin,
Doge, BLK,
Blackcoin,
Max twice.
Max again, I guess.
Yeah, you might as well shout out Max. I know CoinTrader will be really happy about that.
Okay, so why don't we do Maid? Yeah, in fact, I wouldn't mind hearing what the sort of community scuttlebutt is. And I'll fire up the chart, and then just sort of spoon feed me as we go through these.
All right, we're going to put you in presenting mode, Brian. There you go. Now you're full screen.
All right. And are you seeing my ugly mug, or are you seeing the charts?
I am seeing the chart, thankfully.
Ba-dum-bum. Okay, so do we want to do some background on this? How many coins out on this bad boy?
I don't know. You'd have to check your economy tab. That might be your best bet.
There you go. I thought I had co-hosts with this show, but
thank you.
Flying solo.
We're just here to tell you what to click, Brian.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
Hello.
We're a little bit heavy here.
It's only $500 billion.
And even now, you know, this thing's got a market cap of $10 million, right? So first and foremost, are we getting in on the ground floor of this idea? What do you think? Maybe not, right?
So this was an ICO, like a crowdfund from 2 years ago in the spring, and yeah, it looks like we're back at ICO prices again. But
did they ICO 450 million coins?
I think it was like. I'd have to pull up the figure, but it was over $1 million. I know that for sure.
Okay.
This was at like $600 or $800 Bitcoin. Like this was kind of at the bear trap after 1200.
All right. I mean, the interesting thing, you know, you guys have heard, and you know, we'll start off, right? You guys can see my chart. You guys know what's my and I love to quiz the boys if they can you know sort of remember my sayings and my phrases and stuff. And the audience, the only reason why these are cliches in the marketplace is because this stuff, it works, right? So what do we like to say about tails and wicks if we're looking at candlestick charts?
They like to be eaten, and that was my one guess tonight, and I'm not going to answer anymore.
Fantastic. So, you know, here's a great example where this coin just left this massive tail here, right? And lo and behold, the market just slowly takes its time to go and eat up a good chunk of that tail. We often see, now the worst part about it is look where this tail goes to. It goes down to, what is that? I can't even see. Man, I'm an old man.
It's like,
is that 800?
800, yeah.
800. Is that a fat finger panic dump? I don't know. But we saw, you know, it's interesting. We saw Bitcoin a couple of years ago do exactly the same thing. Do you guys remember when on that one day where it just tanked down to $100, just in a flash? And tragically, you know, Bitcoin spent the next year or two just slowly going in and eating up a good chunk of that tail. So, you know, fantastic analogy, anecdote here for you guys. That this was a bit of a warning sign when you saw this. And a guy like me, I like to see price calm down, just nice and consolidate before I really want to go and risk my money. You can see it kind of did that through here, and you could have argued, you maybe bought this breakout here. That was at 7,600. Did they get a double out of it? Oh, you got to 1,300. Oh, so close. So a little bit of a tease, backing up against this high. Again, wicks and tails like to be eaten. Pretty big wick left here, and they went up and filled that in. I suppose one could argue that we do have a bit of a wick still left way up top here. So those that did buy, and heaven forbid if you really took too much risk and you're dying 1,000 deaths, then unfortunately the market probably has flushed you out. For those that are kind of like, I have what I call a little old lady risk approach to venture capital, where I simply just won't risk more than 5% of my stake or what the money I got to work with in any one of these names. And if I had done some crazy ass kind of purchase up here for some reason, one reason or another, the little old lady strategy at least ensures that if you have to go through this, your portfolio isn't wiped out, right? So take heart if you did buy up here, because this is a V top and there is a bit of a wick. Believe it or not, I could actually see price trade back up here at some point down the road. What we really want to see, of course, is if I'm a bull, what's my favorite letter of the alphabet?
W.
W, thank you. And you can kind of see
the
W. Yeah, you're kicking ass. You can kind of see a W's trying to form here. We went down and then up and then down, and here we go. We're trying. In fact, we have broken out through the middle here. And you can see this market is really fighting. It really would like to go here. Consider, too, everybody watching this show, man, this stuff is gold. I've now seen this happen repeatedly. We're into, and I heard Alex making reference to it earlier and the boys, that this is just nothing more than a very normal seasonality play here, where if somebody, let's say, and actually it's interesting because it's the exact opposite scenario here, but if somebody had bought this coin anywhere along here, in fact, all through last spring or all last summer, and they were sitting down with their accountant, and let's say maybe they bought one of the FANG stocks and they were making a bunch of money there, and they were looking at a capital gain situation, they might, and that means you have to pay taxes, they might actually consider selling this at a loss into the end of the year to offset those capital gains realized elsewhere. So this is actually an extremely normal condition within the venture capital market. So really, it shouldn't surprise us to see these kind of WE type patterns come in here. Now, where could we realistically expect this thing to rally back to? I think just over the short term, we're still dealing with this tail. And really what this means to me in actually reality is I'm going to use this wick up here, and you notice the top there as the top of our range. And I have to use the bottom of this tail as the bottom of our range. So that's really our trading range right now. If we believe that this is a bottom, and it sure looks like one, and we start to ask what's realistic counter-trend rally ideas, I think it makes a lot of sense to look for a nice counter-trend rally. And who can tell me what we like to call this zone, this 61.8 to 78.6 fib? What's that called?
It's got to be the reload zone, Brian.
That's right. Fantastic. Good job, Rob. So the point here is, and yeah, I heard you guys talking that people can now short these coins. If there was somebody that was a made bear, can you guys see the market structure here? Where it almost looks like a really big M, right? Can you see that M?
Yeah.
So if somebody had shorted this on this M, these are the levels that they're going to try and defend those positions. They really don't want to see the market head up through here. So this is this basic reload concept in that if somebody was shorting this and they wanted to drive it down, and they, we learn in the course, and I like to teach in my modules, it's just a simple rule in the marketplace, that institutions really can't chase markets. They're not really allowed to chase markets down here. So what they have to do is they have to simply wait for the counter trend rally back in against these highs, and if they wanted to short, or in this case, reload on their shorts, this is the zone that they're most likely to do it. As well, can you guys see that there was a lot of traffic in this area, right? If we go, there's a lot of back and forth, right? A lot of people bought and sold through here. Can you imagine there's probably some guy sitting in like, I don't know, Dayton, Ohio, who bought a little bit of MaidCoin through this. And right now, he's sitting there going...
freaking out.
Well, he hasn't slept. He hasn't been allowed to sleep in the bed with his wife since he bought this thing, right?
Why did you buy the Maid?
Yeah, right. Or maybe we should say since she found out that he bought this thing, right? And you can just imagine all of these people that bought in here. They're just praying, for God's sake, just get the price back to here. Just get to the price back to here. I'll get out and I'll never buy another one of these things again. Right? I mean, I used to joke about that a lot with people. It's kind of a funny anecdote. But if you can think about it that way, this is like basically a traffic zone. So all these people that bought in here and that are sitting on it, they're just praying, please. And actually, I even heard somebody in my chat room say exactly the same thing today. It wasn't on this particular coin. He was underwater, and he was like, oh, just get me back to scratch, and I'll walk away.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see a nice little sort of resistance zone in here. And of course, you know, there are a lot of people that simply will buy against lows, very much like what we're doing down here. You know, you could argue that on a trading range basis, if this is the top of the range and this is the bottom of the range, then there is a lot of people in the trading community who will take a shot on the long side down in this window.
Mm-hmm.
You guys see that?
Yep.
So really, it shouldn't surprise us that this coin is trying to bottom in this zone. It really shouldn't surprise us. At the same time, what are realistic expectations? You know, if we go blasting up through the top here, well then, you know, we're going to have to redraw our levels. Maybe we start thinking about off of these highs. For the time being, my hunch is these are going to act as pretty significant resistance points. And in actual fact, you know, we talk about horizontal support and resistance in our course material. And I wouldn't be surprised if that level right there is a pretty significant horizontal support and resistance level. Do you notice how we have lots of highs in here?
Yep.
That high right there. There's these highs right here. Do you see how they're all sort of clustering in here? Right. So my hunch is probably going to be some pretty good resistance up in here. Now, on dollars and cents, what are we talking here, right? This is 5412, and this is 10, right? And if we start thinking W's, we can maybe make the case of a W on a breakout through this level. That's 49. Do you see how this level just so happens to be exactly double off the breakout level?
Interesting.
Do you think that's a coincidence?
Thinking possibly not.
I don't believe it is. In fact, I would argue that this level has been manufactured here to generate the double trade so that whoever's trading this can get themselves some free coins. Right?
And is that person going to sell off just before the double hits?
Well, I would imagine...
Knowing that the public at large is waiting to quote-unquote bang out a double?
Well, actually, we actually had one tonight, which was hilarious. Let's see if I can remember it. The boys in the chat room were trading.
Yeah, I
thing.
saw JC's tweet. I was cracking.
Yeah, it was E something. What the hell is it? I got to go through the.
I think it was
give me a second.
EMC. I almost want to say.
Yeah, EMC. I think that was it. And I thought this was hilarious. Let's see if I can find it here. Not to get too off topic, but I think we did justice on that. You know, did we give a pretty good description there on Maid? How do you feel comfortable?
I think so.
Okay.
You're
just
the
looking
master.
just
You tell
looking
us.
at this EMC here. I thought this was hilarious, right? Here's the double bottom, right? And that's just about 3,500. Double 3,500 is 7,000. And we were joking
That
in
is
the
a
room,
very
right?
odd wick. Wow.
Can you see, right? This is the double bottom. You Brian's favorite letter of the alphabet, right? It's really simple. Alex, can you see the W? Down, up, down, away we go.
Yeah, I'm just still trying to process what's happening with those candles.
Yeah,
Right.
that is
Well,
bananas.
right, so keep the level in mind. This is 3,600. So what's double that? 7,000, right? And my boys were just slamming this thing in here. and we found it hilarious because the guys who were running this, keep in mind, what have we talked about in the past, guys, about like these repricing events? Do you understand that in the venture capital space, these guys, they've got an agenda. Whoever's running this coin, they have a plan. They want to do something. And what they'll often do...
And chances are they have the biggest supply.
Right, but maybe they're going to be doing some sort of project, and they need to reprice their coin to a certain level, or maybe the guy who did the original investment, maybe he wants to get paid, right? And so what they want to do is they just want a nice little quiet window when nobody's paying attention to the coin, right, to run the price up. And I find it hilarious that what a coincidence, like literally. I kind of think what happened here is that, quite literally, they ran the market up, not realizing that a whole bunch of the people that I've instructed and stuff were just sitting there waiting to hit this thing over the head. And they're sitting there going, what the fuck is going on here? This is a perfect example of that, where basically there are people, and now hopefully I've trained some people, and we have a little universe of traders that as soon as this thing doubles, they're just going to hit the bid, right, and just whack it back down. So this is very normal in the marketplace. There's a lot of people who just do this for a living. Now, having said that, this is a very interesting looking little chart here. Anyway, this is a different coin, so it doesn't have enough trading history for me to get too excited about it. But JC, I know you're watching, and I know you're totally jazzed. So way to go, nice trade, slick, very well done on the EMC. Okay, next coin. Did we finish off on the main?
Yeah, I think that was good.
Yep.
Okay. Next one on the block.
We had Arch, Max, Doge. We kind of looked at Doge in the beginning.
Yeah, in fact, have I gotten a fill yet?
I personally kind of want to see Ethereum, but...
Oh, look at this. They're just teasing me, these bastards. Oh, well. And I wouldn't be surprised if somebody out there... In fact, Alex keeps snickering at somebody. I bet you he's talking with his boys, and they're like, let's just tease Brian a little bit here.
Not quite. But...
I'm just playing with you. All right, so what's next on the block? What do we want to look at?
Arch, Max...
Arch? All right.
Arch, or Arc, however you want to.
All right. So, are we all living in our water teepees yet?
Oh God.
So, has anybody taken delivery on a water teepee yet?
This coin basically crashed and burned this week.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Yeah. Holy cow! I haven't been watching it.
It's not looking much better. So, I was basically in the Arch chat. I've been involved in this coin for a while. Actually, there's a wick on here that I made when I basically market bought it way before that first pump. So I got a nice free position on this, and yeah.
Good.
So I'm still holding on to them because you never know what happens to these coins. But so
this guy, he built a lot of negative karma in the crypto world, though, didn't he?
Oh yeah. So he's got an entire room of guys that are, I guess, pretty pissed off at him because he's basically he didn't even make the announcement. It got leaked out of like a room. So like the way Arch was set up, if you had 32,000 coins, you got into like a private room in their Slack. But then there was another private room for even people with bigger ones. So like then this wasn't known for majority of people, but like we didn't hear from him for like almost a month, and he was actually still talking to these people. But
that's terrible.
I think we should do that with Coinigy. You get a one-on-one room with Rob. You should buy an annual subscription.
Oh, hot damn.
And you
That's
get
like the highest level of exclusive access right there.
Yeah, that's
I thought
that's a
you got
legit
free
reward
access.
right there. Not
I
gonna
thought
lie.
I thought you got free access if you just sent in a picture with a big old man beard.
Oh no, now we're gonna get inundated.
Please do not send
What's
me your man
a
beard pics. Attention,
If you
everybody.
tweet a man beard at Brian,
ah.
we'll figure out something to give you. We'll send you a Coinigy USB drive or something.
All right. Okay. So a lot of people are dying 1,000 deaths here, so we really shouldn't make light of this.
Yeah, and the jury is still out if they'll ever do their token swap for official shares. Like they told Bittrex that they weren't because that would make it illegal for them to be listed on their site because that would technically make it a security.
Sure.
So he basically said that wasn't going to happen, but then that's basically the only like sliver of hope that he's given now.
Yeah,
People
didn't Bittrex actually delist them for that, and then they came back?
It was a conversation, probably.
Something like that.
They never got delisted. They actually got a warning though for low volume, but now it's getting a little better.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think he just like asked Bill to take the warning off after it got enough volume to sustain. But yeah, then he basically said, "Oh, we had funding problems, and I don't think we're gonna make it we're not gonna be getting this next round of funding." So he told some people, "Oh, you should probably reduce like your positions." But meanwhile, there was like 600,000 coins being dumped, and the only one who could have owned it that many were him. So
interesting.
He's pretty much pissed off almost everyone that was involved in the coin, and it's hard to say that it's ever going to come back again. But there's some hope out there, but not a whole lot.
All right. Well, technically speaking, what can we say, right? Lower highs and lower lows defines a bear market, and we're surging to new lows. Full disclosure, we traded it up through here. We banged out some free trades, and then I think I remember one of the first Coinigy shows that I did with you. We were right in here.
Yeah, we've looked at Arch quite a few times.
Yeah. It was interesting how we came back, and you can see they brought it basically right back down to the bottom of the range, and this is where they put up a fight. And I might argue that if you were going to take a shot on this thing, it wasn't that terrible of an idea to take a shot on this W. But the simple fact of the matter, guys, and I think I've told you this, and if I haven't, I will definitely reiterate this. I've never, ever, ever seen a technical model that's 100% right. Never seen it. I've seen some people try and come pretty close, and for a little while their models just are spot on, and then the market state changes, and then the model breaks. So half of surviving as a trader, and really I would argue it's probably more than half, is just simply risk management. And sadly, well, not sadly, but it's just simply a proxy on whether you're going to survive over the long term. If you, there are various different ways to handle, but I have two rules of investing. The first rule has to do with, working with some sort of model, and, we've talked lots about M's and W's and divergences and things like that to sort of frame your trade. But the second is all about, and actually I'd be curious, does any of our three people, or any of our three panelists, do you remember my rule about risk management?
No more than 10%, something like that.
That number's a bit high.
5.
Yeah, we really, and that number.
You mean your little old lady strategy?
That's right. And the interesting thing is, a little old lady, she sticks around when a lot of gunslinger, hotshot young guys blow themselves up. Little old lady sitting there going, "Oh, okay, I'll just take my doubles, thank you very much," and she sticks around. Here is an example that if you had taken a shot off the previous lows, and you had, little old lady strategy would be like, okay, we'll take 5% of our portfolio, or even less than that. We'll go and play this W, and if it fails, no big deal. And in this case, she would be like, well, this sucks. I have to look at this negative position, but At the same time, she's not wiped out, and it's just ironically enough, this might just become a tax sell situation come next December, right? If she had a capital gain somewhere else. Now here's the key, guys, right? Especially now that Polo's trading margin and people are overly leveraging themselves. If you had played this W on margin, you have no choice. If you're a fan of W's and you played this on margin and you got long in here and these lows are broken, you have to get the frig out. You have no choice. And this, like let's say you put I don't know, a quarter of your money at risk based on this margin. And technically, this still has lots of room to fall here. You can't take the risk of just riding this out if you're on margin and that risk threshold starts breaking that 5%. You have to be a man or a woman, right? Whatever. You got to be a grown-up. You got to take your lumps, and you got to say that you were wrong. That's tough, and that shows maturity as a trader. It's really important for us. I've noticed, especially like in adolescence, when I'm talking to the younger crowd, it's really important for us to look right in the face of our peers. So for you young audience, this is even harder for you because you have to be able to say to your peers, I was wrong, got to get out, take the loss. That will show whether you have the maturity to stick it out in the long run in this game. Me personally, and I've talked to the audience lots about the simple little old lady strategy where she doesn't have to worry about being wrong, quote unquote, because she never risks more than 5%. More than 5% of her portfolio is never put at harm's way. So really, this is more a question of what kind of risk management strategy are you employing? If you're a margin trader, you got to step up, admit that you're wrong. Unfortunately, and this unfortunately is a case where you don't even have the luxury to hum and haw about this. If you are trading those on margin, and what's really interesting this day is you can see how they broke the bottom here, and then at the end of the day, they actually brought the market back here, right? So you can't say you didn't have an opportunity to get out. Really, it's just a question of your maturity as a trader, right? Okay, so unfortunately,
not great news for Arch holders.
You can't really make any bull case for this thing right now. And the interesting thing about this is, and I kind of like why having Alex on here, is we have sort of the sentiment. I think he's an excellent sort of proxy for the professional sentiment.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if I can cut you off and just say, yeah, I love having Alex here because he knows a lot more about the backstory on each of these coins, definitely than Rob and I do. We're stuck fixing website bugs and infrastructure all day, so
figuring out why some exchanges data feed doesn't work.
Exactly.
For them.
And
pleasure,
so
guys.
now,
thanks for having me.
I think you guys would rather have Rob and I burying our heads in Coinigy anyways, so rather than.
All right, and so the point that I'm trying to make here is we actually get what I like to call a rational decision about this coin. Technically, it looks like shit. Alex is saying, the story ain't great and the sentiment isn't too hot. We have a rational decision here that, probably best just to leave this one alone for the time being, eh?
Cool. Hey, we got a request in the Q&A for Counterparty. Could try that one.
Okay. Well, we had a pretty big list anyway. Do we want to stick to the original list?
I mean, the original list, we should probably do Maxcoin. I know that people were...
Let's hit Max. All right. So what's the scuttlebutt on Max? Woo! Look at that.
Oh, wow. Alts are back, baby.
And actually, this is basically our course in a nutshell, eh? Jeez. Everything that I teach is basically right here. All right, so who wants to tell us what the story... And this is this Kaiser's coin?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
there's a clip of him actually starting the coin, like the Genesis block on his show. It's kind of an interesting little thing.
Oh, on
and
RT? Is that recently or?
No, this was
Oh no, yeah, he did. Yeah, that's right. I don't
this was
think
after the bull market. So
did
yeah,
didn't he have another one of his under his umbrella run recently?
yeah. So this one's
Start
not
Coin.
as official, I think. But like now he's actually got like a kind of a crowdfunding sort of platform going with Start Coin, and then it's in conjunction with Bank to the Future. So like with Bank to the Future, they're bringing in like VC money, and then like that's funding like coin projects and whatnot, or it's like Bitcoin Capital, some like hedge fund type thing. But then with Startcoin, it's kind of like it's a little more from the other end. It's like crowdfunding with crypto and projects. So right now there's a cool full node project going on right now where you can buy a Raspberry Pi that's been built as a full node.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
And just generally speaking, that sounds to me to be more of a positive sentiment than a negative sentiment, correct?
Oh yeah, like I love Startcoin. I got some, and Max is a very loud dude, so it's easy to buy that coin, and
Okay.
having this one maybe tucked in the back of your portfolio isn't the worst idea either.
All right. Do you guys remember we started the conversation off looking at that Doge, right? And seeing the face rip rallies that last very briefly. And then we go through like 6-8 months of absolute torture, right? I think, this is basically that same sort of story. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Mr. Kaiser's probably fairly well tied. And so as a result, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a very specific agenda when they run these coins. Do you guys see, my favorite letter of the alphabet here? Down, up, down, breakout, right? So, I could see just from strictly a pure momentum play, the breakout through here and the end result, right? And again, like Alex says, this guy probably has a bit of weight behind him. And so as a result, when these things go, they go, right? And then, of course, that rally window didn't last very long. So if you missed the bus, then you're actually caught. And what's the affectionate term we like to use in crypto about people that have to sit here and wait?
Hashtag wrecked.
Well, I was kind of thinking that bag holding term, right?
Oh yeah, that's the other
This, unfortunately, the green box is the rally box, and it doesn't last for very long. And then the bag holding box, you can see that it's proportionately quite a bit more than the rally box, right? And this is a hallmark of the markets. This is the way they operate. So really, nothing really out of the ordinary here. I'm a little disappointed that Mr. Kaiser didn't hold this bottom here. And I wouldn't be surprised if there were probably a lot of people that bought into whatever the story is off of this low here that were pretty upset here.
Yeah, if I can add to, I don't know this. I don't think this is the entire history of this market. I know it's been listed on quite a few other exchanges prior to
I'm
BitTrex.
on Bitterx. Where do you think we should look? Should
Well,
we go
I know
over and look
initially it
on,
was listed on Coins but they're not super.
should we go over to Cripsy? What do you think?
Try bitter.
Yeah, I think Beater, however you pronounce
All
it.
right.
ER.
Look at this. And actually, it's interesting that Max
Yeah,
is
there you go.
listed CNY as well, eh? Isn't that
So it hasn't
interesting?
broken out even on this exchange.
Yeah, that's
And I
well. I think you can. I think is that the same bottom? Anyway, if anything, what was so Bitterx? That's
No, it's
interesting.
like 38 on.
There's
Yeah,
no volume on this site though. That's the thing. So there's
Yeah.
not a lot of people buying. Like, and this actually broke out on some Chinese pairs on a Chinese exchange earlier in the day. That's when I first started reading about it.
Yeah, well, and so like I
interesting.
said, so there is the CNY MAX, right? So that has popped up there on the CNY quote on the bidder. So
Yeah.
actually, that would be interesting if this would represent an arbitrage trade for your users, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
For the next 10
technically,
minutes, it will.
Yeah, until somebody buys it in real time.
What's the offer here on your platform? Does it show the offer?
Looks like asks and bids maybe aren't showing.
So
Oh yeah.
the offer right now is 39.10. Oh, isn't that interesting? So on this exchange, the offer is actually way up here.
Yeah, just nobody's buying.
Yeah, it's just pretty low volume. You're gonna get one little tick, right? Maybe some guy goes and buys one coin to reprice this bank. Done, right? Okay, so probably for the users, if you do want to trade this, right, I think you're probably best to stick with Bittrex for the time being. Now, I mean, hopefully you guys see, you should know exactly where I'd want to be a buyer on this thing, right? I mean, what do you think? Is there any letters of the alphabet here that look kind of like they're jumping out at us?
A few W's down there.
Yeah. I mean, what I see, again, now this is a bothersome, and the fact that it's Mr. Kaiser and the fact that they kind of messed around with the market here. Do you see how they left a tail here and they had to come and fill all that in later on? I'm a little concerned that they've gone and left this tail here. That's not good. You know, it means that whatever this short-term euphoria is, whenever this silly thing rolls over, it might have to come right back down to this bottom and eat this tail. So buyers beware. Now, I mean, really the simple message, guys, is can I buy this coin right here? What do you think?
I don't think that'd be a good idea, Brian.
It's not necessarily that it can't go up further, but if I do buy this coin, and let's say I want to buy it on margin or whatever, right? I have to risk back down to these lows, right? And so that's why, you know, we often say that, you know, these things get on the launch pad, and once they go, I mean, you got to jump on, or else they'll just leave you behind. And I could make a very good argument that, you know, when we started even here, when we started perking up through these highs, you know, and let's find what's that level? That's 1500. We'll call it that, right? So guys who did take that trade, there is the double level, right? You see that 3,000? And what's really interesting, guys, remember we talked about this before. You see how they shot the market
Did
up?
that just pop up? Oh no, sorry. Okay.
This is a daily chart, so that's
Yeah,
this
okay.
action. So you can see how they ran it up above that double level, but all the guys that probably took off this to get free coins, right? Ching, 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 and that actually brought the market back down below that level. Isn't that interesting? You know, this thing's probably got a world of inertia behind it. Let's go see what the momentum models say, right? We got big volume coming in, so you can see the volume momentum's breaking out, right? Can you guys see this sort of WE action here? And we, you know, when it comes to volume, we simply like to say, you know what, all we're going to do is just try and follow the smart money. I mean, ideally what we want to do is just ride on their coattails. So, you know, you see the big volume bar right here. You could drill down to like a lower time frame and see where the big blocks were buyers in here. And ideally, all you really want to do is just jump on their coattails and get off when they get off. Raw momentum, look at our MACD, right? Can you guys see how it went down, up, kind of wishy-washy in here, and then kaboom yesterday, right? So we got a major momentum breakout here. Can you guys see that? Hopefully you can see. Can you see how the MACD is just going nuts here, right?
Yeah.
What was the term that I look for in the MACD to sort of suggest that maybe a rally is finished? Can you guys remember that?
It's not ringing a bell for me.
All right, it's divergence. Do you hear me ever talk about divergences?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so this is interesting how off of the lower time frames you can see that they're breaking price out to new highs, but momentum is not going to new highs, right? So we potentially have a bit of a divergence forming here, and you know that kind of makes sense off the hourlies because it's been such a big rally. But having said that, if we go back to the dailies, right, this thing has been coiling now. Can you guys see how we could actually make an argument that this is the bottom end of the range and this is the top end of the range, the top of this little wick right here? And so really, the market's been in this range since October. Where are we now? January, right? So basically, it's been coiling now for about 4 months. it's broken out here. And actually, I was cautioning some people in my in our chat room that, hey, don't be in too big of a hurry to start calling tops on these things. If anything, we're just getting going in this seasonal rally. Frankly, you know, like when it looks like this kind of thing, you know, we could actually start drawing fib studies going back off of this high. And remember we talked about traffic areas earlier? What a coincidence. Can you see this traffic area here, right? Just so happens to be in this reload short zone. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So really, I wouldn't be surprised if they take this thing up into here. That is still a threefold increase from where we are right now. So don't be in too big of a hurry to start calling tops here, everyone, right? We're in the seasonally friendly part of this season. So, you know, let's go with that. We've got market structure that's supportive. We've got momentum coming in here. You remember Willie, right? Willie's a great tool for us to just see whether the market is getting overbought. You guys tell me, what was the condition? What was the name of the condition in Willie if I kind of thought that maybe it was getting overbought? Can anybody remember what that was called?
Stupid.
Yeah, and if you can remember that, right? That just I like to use terms that are like over the top, right? And so some people, when I first told them about that, I like to call it stupid. They just love that because that's just over the top, right? But simply put, it's just when our moving average on our slowed down Williams percentage R indicator gets overbought. Are we overbought now yet, guys? What do you think?
I would say no, not yet.
No, we're not even close. This Willie's got tons of room to run here.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be in a big hurry to be calling a top here, please, guys. And as I said, seasonally speaking, and what I like about this guy, right, is that the guys who were behind this, they already had one that ran recently, and was it Start? I seem to remember it was another one, but that's okay. They've got ammunition, kind of like what we talked about Polo, right? A lot of kids, they've got ammunition now. They're cash rich. They're BTC rich. They can go and pump these things to get some serious high prices. So, bullish story. Now, you missed the boat. Oh, crap. I missed it. Can't chase it. Do not chase, right? Everybody knows we don't chase. So,
But I want to chase, Brian.
well, then you're going to have to learn some discipline or you're just going to be handing the market money.
All right.
That 10% is totally worth the 90% drop.
All right. So if we did want to try and get in on this thing, what do you think I'm going to lean on here as a tool? Rob, you said it earlier. 3 letters. First letter is R.
The reload zone.
Right, and all we've done is, and frankly, I don't know where the high is here. Is this the high today? I don't know. It might be. It might not. Maybe they're going to take the market a little bit higher. I don't know. But as the market is making a high, I'm going to take my little fib tool, and I'm just going to highlight the reload zone. And what a coincidence, guys.
Yeah.
Do you see how the reload zone just so happens to line up with the original bottom? I don't think that's an accident. In fact, my hunch is the reload zone is probably ultimately going to line up with this breakout level. So, you know, this is a good tool for you guys when you're on Coinigy and you're kind of trying to think, where might they top this thing out? We could work with our fib tool to try and figure out, well, you know, I'm a big fan of horizontal support and resistance. Brian's talked about that before. And if they did bring the market down, you can see these are the original breakout levels. So what would that mean for the rally in the short term to have the reload zone line up with those breakout levels? Do you see how I've moved the top fib study up here just to adjust that, right? And so now when I do that, I can kind of see that, you know, they might take the market up here. Now, we can go back and we can look at our higher time frame fib, and we can throw on, who can remember what the first stop target is on our fib study? Who can remember what that number is?
78.6.
Survey says...
Oh,
Good try.
That was
good
harsh,
try.
Brian.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just having fun.
one strike for the William family.
See, this is why I said I
That's
wasn't
right.
gonna. I wasn't gonna.
Well, and
answer
Alex,
any.
I'm a little sad that Alex isn't perking in here with some of these, because I did try to take Alex under my wing in a recent education program that we had.
And I've used some of those tools, actually. I managed to perfectly sell the top on Ethereum, Brian, because of some of your guidance and teaching me more on Fibonacci's. So
Well, that
thank you
makes
for that.
All right, well, that makes me feel good. The point here is, can you guys see how I was playing around with my reloads? Where am I going to look to buy this thing? And gee whiz, look how the reload zone will line up nicely with the breakout if we actually rally up to the 38.2 here. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
So now, as technicians, we can kind of say, well, you know, I've watched Brian's shows for so long that I know the market likes to go to this 38.2. And if I draw my fib level, and I don't know where this is going to stop, it might stop a little lower, it might stop a little higher, but if I start thinking that maybe we'll have a pivot around that 38.2, then what does that do for my reload zone, right? And so we move our little box, and so literally as traders, we have to exercise patience and discipline and simply wait for the market to come back down into our reload zone. Okay? And really, guys, everybody watching this show today, this is gold. I wish I had somebody 20 years ago when I was your guys' age who explained this stuff to me. This stuff is absolute gold.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, even though I get the terminology incorrect on just about every show. No, I mean seriously, just being able to look at a chart and just after being exposed to this so many times, I can now kind of just pick little things up that, whereas before I would just be like, oh, what the hell is this? I'm just going to buy this off of a gut check, you know. And now I at least can draw some fibs, and I know, you know, a few basics. So
Good.
Hey, Brian, one of your former students is messaging me right now about Ethereum is basically doing a perfect Fibonacci retrace on Ethereum, like a nice perfect bounce, like it's coming into that OTE short zone.
Where, what time frame?
He's got it on, I don't know what time frame that is.
And the audience should be aware, couple things. Number one, Fibonacci levels are relatively universal in this world. In fact, the 61.8, do you guys remember, Rob and Will, and actually maybe Alex, you remember this? What's the name that I give that 61.8 fib level?
Mountain Man.
That's right. So, and that is from
Nailed
one of the
it.
best. That's one of the best. Actually, Rob, you probably we should put anyway. He was one of the best crude oil futures traders I ever met in my life. I mean, just a monster. And he just basically traded that 61.8. 78.6, I like to affectionately call it the line in the sand. And so as a result of my extensive work in the marketplace, I've labeled this level, and it's sort of my concept of this idea of reload. And that's, I've coined the term, that reload zone. There are other people in the internet that use basically these same levels, and they do give it other names. And so the viewers and listeners, you might hear the other names for these zones. And there is another gentleman on the internet that does quite a bit of teaching, and he likes to call this zone the OTE, or I think he calls it the optimal trade entry. So we should give credit out to Mr. Huddleston for that name, and if you do run across that reference on the internet and you've heard Brian use this term reload zone, just understand that this is Brian's name for this particular area and the fib chart. So I just wanted to take a moment and just clear that, just in case anybody was like, OTE, what's that? I don't quite understand what that is. Okay.
You're looking at the 1 hour chart right now, actually.
Okay, I don't know whether the audience is aware, but actually I basically did exactly what I've been talking to you guys on Ethereum, in that, and it's interesting because this candle on Bittrex, it didn't go to new lows on on Kraken, for example. So a bit of an odd candle there on Bittrex, but nonetheless.
Kraken's down, by the way, right now. They've been down like all day.
Yeah.
I think the site's back up, but trading is still halted, so we're still not getting any. Oh, actually, we just started getting data in like 5 minutes ago.
The message
Because the devil, I just checked it. So
that whole ordeal has been hilarious. But like, what's coming from their Telegram channel is like, funding and trading will be back online at 8:30 p.m. Pacific. Fixed, uncertain, but not reproducible in test environment. Trade with caution.
Oh, great! So
oh my gosh.
It's like, I think we fixed it. It's back. It broke, but it fixed itself.
As of 6 minutes ago. So.
Do you think they could have
Trade with caution?
Yeah. Do you think they could get away with that on like the New York Stock Exchange? Good luck. If you get a fill, you get a fill. If you don't, not too damn bad.
It probably happens, and they just sweep it under the rug and don't say anything about it.
We were having just a huge long talk with somebody in Coinigy chat today about that, just because he comes from traditional brokerages and uses like NinjaTrader and all that stuff, and gets instant order execution, and we tried to just basically explain to him, look, we're dealing with exchanges that aren't always the most reliable, from our perspective. So when dealing with the APIs and downtime and all that stuff. So
the interesting thing, guys, is I hope you realize that by the time this industry gets to that point, the venture opportunity here will be over, right? This will all be built out, and all the fat cats will all own this, and they'll be controlling it, right? So, those that are listening, you kind of moan and complain and bitch about the kind of amateurness about some of this, but ironically enough, that goes with any venture, right? There's going to be warts, right? And we have a few people that trade on Kraken, and they've been pretty stressed through the day too. So I understand what you're saying. I guess the point that I was trying to make here, and I guess maybe I'm tooting my own horn a little bit here, but basically just using the principles that I teach everybody on these shows, we actually snuck into Ethereum right at about 1900 here. I was so proud of this trade. And so, and it's funny, I actually joke with people that this is the way that I mine crypto. Because I go in, sneak in, sell half on a double, boom, I got my free coins.
You mine it out of the market.
Somebody's got to buy.
So when I look at a chart like this, what do you think, guys? Do you think that first and foremost, do we have any sign of divergence here? What do you think?
I would say not really.
No, we're making higher highs on momentum. Are we overbought? What do you think?
Getting pretty close.
Yeah, a little bit.
Probably check out the Polo chart for this one. Bittrex isn't drawing the nicest candles for this for Ether.
Okay, and and that's actually something I wouldn't mind asking you, Alex. I mean, is this an issue Bill is having with Ethereum in particular?
It's just the lack of liquidity. Like, there's good traders with a lot of Bitcoin on Bittrex, and you can see that on the first candle. Somebody pretty much bought it up to like 690,000, and then like the following day, Polo finally got to that level, or it was almost like 2 days later. So I think it's just kind of a lack of liquidity in some markets, but
could be. I do know for certain that we're not allowed to call this an ICO.
Oh yeah, we don't want to open that can of worms.
I don't know whether you remember that. There was a certain group of people that shit all over my head when I claimed that this was an ICO. I thought that was hilarious. But anyway, inside joke, I suppose. We like to joke about how we're not allowed to call this an ICO. I mean, what's my 2 cents here? Clearly, hopefully you guys understand, I've sold half on a double. I'm on free coins. Would I be buying right now? What do you think? After all the shows we've done together, Coinigy boys, would I be stepping up and buying right here?
I definitely don't think so because Willie is about to get stupid.
Yeah, well, that's a warning sign. And actually, this is a great tool like retail investors. If I had clients calling me, I'm not necessarily saying this is a short. I'm not necessarily saying this isn't going to go up. What I'm just simply saying is I think we'd be best served just to wait. I mean, maybe this pops up a bit more and then consolidates. But right now, I can't buy. At the same time, though, I can't really make the argument that this thing is topped out and it's time to start shorting it. This is where I love my strategy because, frankly, this is venture capital. I have no idea. I mean, you guys remember, I don't know whether, Alex, you were in this thing, but do you remember this silly Ruby? Did you ever trade this silly thing? Or,
No,
I'm not going to say
no.
silly. It was a perfectly good story. But
Yeah.
I mean, this is Ruby, right? And you know, not the same as Ethereum, but you can see how it went through the bottoming process, put in its W, and this is the great part about venture capital: is these things can go and go and go and go, and then eventually, you know, they run out of steam. Oh, and then go some more, right? Frankly, I'm not going to start calling tops on these venture capital names because they can embarrass you very, very easily. I just, you know, it's not really in your best interest to put your neck in that noose. As well, too, you know, seasonally, is this a really good time to be thinking about shorting altcoins? What do you guys think?
Probably
Seasonally,
I don't think so.
no, you want to short going into the fall mostly, I would say.
Yeah.
Or in May and walk away.
Yeah.
Well, I do notice, you know, in the stock market that seems to work fairly well. But I do notice that in crypto, and you know, this is a crypto market we need to concentrate on, I notice that the altcoins get a little bit of an extra boost as the kids sort of get out of school. And they're sort of, you know, they're filled with enthusiasm. Maybe dad made some money in the stock market in May, June, so dad's feeling a little bit generous, and maybe the kids' allowances are boosted. I don't know. But I do notice that crypto seems to like to rally into that sort of June period. Once we get on the other side of sort of July, August, then I think that's the time. If you're a big shorter of crypto, I think, or that is seasonally the window to jump all over these things. So, you know, for those that missed the boat, I would simply say, I'm not going to be in a big hurry to short this, but if we do get nice little pullbacks, can you guys see how our reload zone is kind of lining up with the original breakout levels here? All right. So what we might find is that this thing pulls back, and really, you know, this is again another one of these examples. I wouldn't be surprised if this high is going to actually line up with our reload zone, which to me actually suggests that maybe we still got a little bit more on the upside to go here. So that's my impression of Ethereum right now. I don't think it's a good idea to stand in front of this train. And if we did get a serious pullback, I might consider going and buying some. But I've already got a free position here. Why do I need to buy any more? I mean, I'm loaded up. I've got my coins are free. I'm sitting pretty. Did you? I can't remember, Alex. Did you say that this person said that there was a 1 hour buy or?
Yeah, if you look at the 1 hour, it's bouncing right now, and it's just coming into the 61.8 level on a retrace on the bounce.
All right, so that, you know, if we look at very short term, and you guys are trading this on margin, right, we can see how they slammed it down into these lows, probably ran some stops here, right, broke all these guys' hearts, big bounce up. You can see we have some wicks here. You know, and I know that I'm supposed to wrap it up, so why don't we just leave it that this is going to, on the short term, be a bit of a resistance level, all these old highs, and then if we do reload zone to consider shorting, right, if you're trading on margin, then this is the area you want to concentrate on, right up against all these horizontal support and resistance levels. And if we break the top, you got to get the hell out. Okay?
Good summary, Brian.
Okay, good. I hope I did that justice, and I hope the viewer, Alex, you can talk to them. I hope that helped them.
Yeah, he seems pretty happy.
All right. You can tell me afterward who it is, and then I'll bitch at them.
All right, yeah.
All right. What time is it? It's 1:45. How are we doing on time, guys?
Yeah, we're pretty much ready to wrap it up, I think, here.
All right. I mean,
A little
we've
bit
done a
over.
bunch of coins tonight, eh? We
Mhm.
didn't
Oh,
get
yeah.
all of them. But
Yeah.
we did
Can
a
never
couple.
do them all. Got to save some for next time, Brian.
That's right.
All right. Cool.
Show number 22.
Yeah, we're getting up there, eh? We're veterans now.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, you know what I thought was really interesting is I now, after these shows, I almost always see some sort of television producer or some sort of, network person start to follow me on Twitter. Almost always.
Interesting.
I guarantee
Well,
you
maybe
after
they're
this-
watching. Maybe they're scoping out some talent, Brian.
Well, really, I think we make a pretty good team. We seem to have a pretty good repertoire. Or,
I
not
agree.
repertoire, that's
And I
not
was
the,
going to say, too, I
rapport.
mean, as far as I'm concerned, at least, I mean, Alex, man, you're welcome anytime. You know,
For
you
sure.
always do an awesome job. So
Oh, thank you.
I like our the beat on the ground.
We're going to take over
what's
for
the word on the
Kramer one
street?
day.
beat
Right?
reporter Alex Sturck.
That's right. I mean, what's the pulse? We got to call it like Alex's pulse or something like that, right?
Well, if you guys are looking to get the same information that I am, be sure to join the Jumbuck Slack. It's not like any other altcoin Slack. You can talk about whatever alt you want, and these guys are well versed all across crypto. And the coin itself is actually at like a perfect fib level to maybe take a look at buying. And if you're in the Slack, you'll read that they just came out with some new announcements. So that's my beat for the day too.
Hey
Right on,
guys,
yeah.
and,
There
you go.
I just got my notice.
Uh-oh.
I didn't hear any alarms or anything though.
Ta-da! Oh,
Yay!
you might have them disabled, too. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I was hoping there would be like dancing girls and stuff pop up on the screen.
It just makes a little popping noise by default. So you
This is a
may,
professional trading tool, Brian. Come on.
Alex, do a little dance for me, please.
oh jeez. All right, we're getting off the
There you
rails
go.
here.
We're dropping viewers fast.
All right, hey, I can't complain. I just made money. Woohoo!
All right.
Woohoo!
And on that double,
Yeah, there you
we'll
go.
see you next time.
Yep.
Actually, let's,
Don't forget, guys, everybody who's watching, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Oh, that's right. I got to say that too. Like and subscribe and pat my butt and all that stuff, please.
Yeah,
Thank you.
come on, don't be shy. Let me see it right now. I'm gonna see 15 subscribes right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and
Here they come. All right,
all
perfect.
right. Brrrm.
Gotta challenge the viewers. All right. Don't forget to check out Coinigy.com for all of your Bitcoin and altcoin trading needs. And I'll let Brian sign us off this time. How's that sound?
Sounds like a plan. As you guys see on the screen here, this isn't that hard to do. Every one of you watching this video can make a killing at this. All it takes is having a plan, sticking to the plan, and having some self-discipline. It's an absolute pleasure for me to come and work with the boys at Coinigy, work with just, Frank, I've said this before, I think the world of Alex. I think he's got an excellent attitude. It's a pleasure, it's a privilege. Be sure to drop by our site, learn all about the wonderful things that we're doing for people that want to learn how to trade.
What's that site, Brian?
TheRationalInvestor.co. And I look forward to all of your questions and inquiries. I'm more than happy to try and answer and help you out. And if I don't talk to you before the next time, have yourselves a great trading week. All the best to you and your family. God bless, and bye for now.
Bye-bye.